Ever tried reading while jogging, cooking, or even juggling flaming torches? Yeah, it doesn't end well. But with audiobooks.com, you can conquer books without the circus act. Dive into over 450,000 titles, including more than 10,000 free ones. Get hooked on a bestseller, find your next obsession, or finally read that classic you've been avoiding since high school. And here's the inside scoop. Sign up today for a free 30-day trial and snag your first 3 audiobooks on the house. Sign up for your free trial at audiobooks.com/podcastfree today. That's audiobooks.com/podcastfree.
Everybody's got a to-do list. I have a to-do list, and item number 3 is make to-do list. Do you get it? Drop off the dry cleaning. Pick up some milk. Here's an idea. Let's save hundreds of dollars on car insurance. Now that I really do want to do. And the good thing is you don't have to drop off or pick up anything. All you have to do is go to geico.com, and in 15 minutes you could be saving 15% or more on car insurance. I'm doing it. Extra money in my pocket. I want it. It just may be the most rewarding to do you do today.
Now Podcast One brings you Spike's Car Radio. A downloadable cars and coffee, hosted by writer, comedian, and automotive enthusiast, Spike Ferriston. Now, here's Spike.
And we are in. Hi, everybody. Welcome to Spike's Car Radio. We're here in Malibu at the Malibu Kitchen on a rainy Sunday. And, I think it was maybe earlier this week, Zuckerman, you and I were hot and bothered over our various life problems.
Yes.
And you said, let's do another anger show. Let's do another show about complaints.
Yes, including but not limited to car complaints.
Yes.
Any complaints.
But what is, and I posted something on my Instagram. We had a close to 200 people immediately chime in with what's bothering them. We have a very angry fan base, Zuckerman, or have issues.
Guys,
they are angry.
I have a novel idea. We're going to use the internet to complain about things.
Yes.
That's Matt Farah of The Smoking Tire. He's here with us, and we're going to just go through these one by one, take them apart, and see if, I guess, that we relate to this anger, all right? But I thought, Zuckerman, since it was your suggestion, why don't we start with you? What is it that you're angry about currently?
Okay, I can give you the small one and a big one. The small one is, as I said, excessive gas. I don't mind a little bit of gas, but excessive gas. You're pointing at Bill? Yes, a little excessive gas that keeps me awake at night is not a welcome thing. That aside,
that was your morning announcement to us when you walked in.
I'm
and
tired.
Frequently, listeners probably don't know this, but you'll call me early in the morning and tell me about your bowel movements, which I find to be very strange.
Well, who else am I supposed to tell? If not for my good friend.
But
you like to hear it.
I don't.
Yes, you do.
But
you're getting rapidly. What's that Michael Douglas and Alan Arkin show?
Yes.
That is,
but Zuckerman is a sage Jewish man. Is this an older Jewish man thing? Is this just an old man thing?
This is just a Jewish thing. This is a Jewish
to talk
thing.
About
which part? The farting or the calling about the farting?
Well, talking about bodily functions in general, and to be bothered by them. But I'm going to tell you what my big complaint is. And and we talked about this week, and you called it burying the lead. And in my office, I manage over 150 people, and no one knows how to tell me what the fuck they're talking about. They come in, and I feel like I'm on a quiz show. Alec, for $500, I'll take what the fuck are they talking about? Who the fuck are they talking about? Where the fuck are they talking about? They cannot tell me, and they only use pronouns. He, she, them, it. And so that's what really bothers me.
Is this just a lack of being properly descriptive, or people trying to avoid giving you bad news and making you angry?
No, people don't know how to talk.
People can't tell a story.
They don't know how to walk in and go, I need to get your feedback on this case right now, specifically this one question. Right. They don't know how to say that. They'll just start going.
You remembered that you were talking to them about 3 days ago.
Of course,
and can just jump right back into
and I've already seen 700 clients then, or they come in, they're nervous with their hands
in entertainment.
flapping.
In entertainment, we call this: you cannot set up the bit enough. You cannot set it up enough. And as a late-night host, I can tell you I had to deal with the audiences, their minds are elsewhere. So what you have to say is, again, folks, it's springtime. We thought we'd put cameras out to see if we could find some Swedes on the sidewalk of Manhattan. Swedish, because the Swedish travel in August. So today we're playing Let's Look for Swedes. We've got cameras out there right now. You see how I'm setting it up? You're starting it. You have to say it 10 times. Right? I've been in your office. Your head is spinning. Case after case, your ADHD existence works perfectly in that situation, right? And they walk in and think, oh, now that I'm talking, you're going to understand. And you're just trying to look into the eyes and go, who's this?
And I always feel like I have to exert 180 to 190% brain power on a simple little issue about who's going to pick up the client and drive them where at what time.
All right,
that's my complaint, and you may have experienced that in building that in that grand building.
My complaint is that I probably have enough work to justify multiple assistants in multiple specialties, and yet I do not have nearly enough resources to have such a person do those things, while also. For some reason, I put myself in a position, and this is my own fault, where all the things that need doing can really only be done by me.
That's the problem.
And I have run out of time in the day, but that's my own fault.
What are you angry about out in the world?
Honestly, I'm feeling pretty good right now, Spike. I'm angry at because I wake up and look at Twitter every morning, and we live in a world that seems like we have dwindling rights and dwindling representation. But that's other than that, within my own little Venice bubble, but things are chill.
The
newlywed.
Not long ago,
I got married like 3 weeks ago, so I'm okay.
And you smoked some weed this morning.
Also, that too.
Yeah,
that helps.
But you turned your comments off at one point on Instagram. Was that were they annoying you? Because they've been known to annoy me as well.
Doug Benson, the comedian, he pioneered the comments off philosophy.
Oh, he did.
Yeah, I think he at least did for me. I don't know if he was the first, but he really found a way to eloquently put it. So I'll kind of just paraphrase him. There's a lot of comments. Most of them are good. Some of them are bad. Some of them are horrible. But all of them take up unnecessary brain power that could and should be devoted to almost anything else.
Right.
And so I turned them off in agreement with that, and that I was too busy to unavoidably deal with the stupid comments. Yeah. And what ended up happening eventually was, especially I started posting pictures around my wedding, people who overwhelmingly, for the most part, are very nice and just want to say nice things. I got like 500 DMs in an hour from people who just wanted to congratulate me for the wedding. And so Hannah, my now wife, was like, dude, just turn the comments back on. She didn't say the dude part, but she just said, just give them a place to say this stuff, and you won't be getting...
You're alleging she doesn't use the word dude.
I
can tell you, anyway, as someone...
I'm contemplating going back to off.
Who is, I consider to be your friend, and I like your social media content, I would see a post, and then I'd want to say something, and then I couldn't, and I went, like this. I felt corked up, and it was always something nice. It was like...
so funny.
And then I was like, I don't want to look at his stuff anymore because I can't interact with it, and I like to interact with your stuff.
It's
you know
social
what I mean?
media.
I'm doing my best to leave them on without going crazy. They're on now, and I'm trying to keep
Let me make
way.
another suggestion. Don't read them.
You know what?
Let us say what we say. You fly through.
I have self-control at the grocery store, but not once the cookies reach my pantry.
Right.
I cannot buy the cookies, but I can't not eat the cookies.
Well,
Same thing with the comments.
Cookies talk to you.
Zuckerman, I had a guy.
In the house, they speak to you. That's your line. They're just like guns. Guns talk to you in the house.
Guns talk to you.
Cookies talk. Guns and cookies are the same in that
I had
way.
like an 18-minute conversation with my Lamborghini 2 days ago while driving it.
Yeah.
I was like, all right, today we're going to be like Robert Duvall in Days of Thunder. Like, I'm going to give you a slippery...
That's healthy. That's good. A gun is different because the gun... And iPhone guns, they sit and they go, why aren't you using me, dude? Well, don't you want to put some bullets in me right now and do some stuff? And I go, yeah, let's do. And then if I used to go out to the desert and get on a motorcycle and just shoot at shit while I was riding and stuff. But now I'm got kids and job and stuff. I can't do that. But it's still it talks to me all the time, and it says, why don't we go take it into the city? Why don't you just put it in your truck just in case you need it?
People.
Why don't you just show it to people?
The levees are breaking over
now.
this table here.
Now on a change of
Why
subject.
don't I bring it to the office? This'll teach him how to talk to me.
It's always an elevator
in the car.
I was teaching my boys this because they're obviously gun obsessed. But I was saying, you got to understand, guys, the gun is not a solution. It's an elevation. Like, you bring the gun into a situation, 9 times out of 10, somebody's going to go, I got one too, I've got something, and things move to a new level up, not down. You don't shut things down with it.
There's a guy
things
I
get
follow
worse.
on Twitter who I really like. His name's A.R. Moxon. He's an author, and he wrote that the quote good guy with a gun theory.
Right.
Both good guys with guns and bad guys with guns both believe, and sometimes equally, that the world is a dangerous place and it can only be solved with a gun wielded by me.
Yes.
They both think exactly the same thing.
Right. I have safety. I'm protected now by this thing. But if you watch like Brazilian crime gas station videos on Live Leak, you'll see what really happens. Both people shoot each other multiple times, and then one or both dies.
I've seen City of God before.
Nobody's. It's very few people are stopped by the first bullet. It's usually like, hey, what happened? Oh shit, I'm shot. A minute later, you bleed out. You're dead. That's how it goes. Anyway,
I had taken a depressing turn. So
here's what I'm still pissed off about drivers. Last night I picked up my wife. She was away.
That is really. I'm going to tell you something. I really hold you in high regard that you would pick your wife up at the airport.
Well, I'm trying to teach my boys proper etiquettes, and I think the moms appreciate that more than the dads. We don't care, but the moms like it, and she hasn't seen the kids for 9 days. It's an interesting sidebar. She brought us Greek peanut M&Ms, a giant bag for us to go through. I thought it would be too much.
Or just Greek packaging?
They made of feta cheese. Moussaka.
It's a candy shell, feta cheese, and a peanut.
You know, we talk about
olive dunked in chocolate.
That's what they're all olives, just in brine. God, these are horrible. We talk about the deformed peanut M&Ms of America, and M&M has not responded to anything that we've done. And our friends around the world, Australia, Japan, England, all have shown us that their peanut M&Ms are not deformed like ours are.
We're getting the shit, Farah.
We're getting the crap peanut M&Ms.
We get like the D class.
Oh, wait, have you missed all this? You missed this whole thing.
Are you accusing me of listening to your show?
No, but we talk about it constantly out there too.
So the overall peanut M&M is janky, or the peanut inside?
No,
is
the
janky?
overall, the manufacturing.
There are mutants.
They sort the good ones.
No,
they
make.
Who cares?
They don't take out
exactly.
and that's us.
100% right. And we don't care. We eat candy coated shit if it was a nickel for a giant bag.
Yeah.
So we get the speedily, hastily made, low quality peanut M&Ms.
And what is truly
same thing with cars.
Yes,
it's exactly the same.
And what's truly upsetting is there are days when we're watching the news or we're having a bad day and we want to just go home and eat peanut M&Ms. But the consistency's not there, so even
Small
that falls
dairy.
apart. These comfort foods.
I want the same amount of blueberries in each muffin.
Right, exactly. We need our comforts.
I was just talking to someone on my podcast, the Smoking Tire Podcast, about how cars are built globally.
See, you threw a plug in there.
Yeah, that's how you do it. You sneak it.
Yeah.
And if you think that European cars are made better and that's just a mentality, you are not wrong. The actual tolerances used in Europe to build cars are smaller than the tolerances used in America to build cars. And so, that's
there you
real.
go. Well, anyways,
we accept
that drivetrain slop you feel. It's really there.
Yep.
Anyway, I'm going to open up those Greek M&Ms tonight.
Moussaka. Candy coated.
I will give you a report, Zuckerman. I will text you in real time if I find the mutants. Maybe I'll put them in my Instagram story. Anyway,
cheap flavor.
As I'm
flavors it. This is lamb.
What are all these beard fibers in this peanut? It's got hair.
They take those grape leaves and just dunk them in a candy.
But I've done a lot of driving, and it's the drivers are getting so much
How
worse.
was the airport?
The airport was fine, and we get out of parking structure 6, and we just want to cross that. You know how one, you press the button, and the light will change, and you cross? Right. The next one is just the one closest to baggage claim. They have to stop.
Right.
I walk into that little intersection, and what looks like a big Greek guy in a Tesla almost runs me over. I turn, and he's looking at his goddamn phone.
An autopilot, yo.
My
this car
kids
got a self-driving car, didn't you know?
My kids go, Dad! And the guy stops inches from me.
And then yells at you.
And then yells at me.
Yeah.
And then
always. It's your
in
fault.
In front of my
Why
kids.
Didn't his Tesla see you? They drive themselves.
Hold on. In front of my kids, he has windows down. He had the big crazy Greek guy face or whatever he was. And I go, and I forgot my kids were there. I go, get off your fucking phone, you fucking moron. Right? My kids are thrilled. I don't think they've seen me lose my temper that way. My boys were laughing hysterically. They were thrilled. They were like,
reaction
that was
great.
Some mom off there waiting for a taxi. She started laughing, and the guy gets madder at me like it's my problem. The driver's Zuckerman, and then the left lane slow drivers on Sunset. I'm losing it. I've become a flasher. I'm tired of it. If they're going to break the law by not letting me pass, I'm going to start making their life a living hell. And that's what I'm upset about.
I really recommend the lights I have on my car.
Oh, yeah.
I have.
That's right.
I have the
Safari
car.
car.
The end of the world apocalypse fog lights, and that makes people move.
Or melting.
If they don't move with the high beams, when you hit them with 6 across, they really see you.
All right. Well, there you have it. That's these are our complaints. We're going to take a break right now, and when we come back, we're going to get to the SCR Army complaints. We'll be right back. Think of all the weird things found in cars, and I'm not talking about your garden variety petrified French fries or melted crayons. For me, it's crumbs. But I'm talking about live snakes, bizarre trinkets, the kind of stuff that just makes you wonder about folks. Another thing that'll make you wonder, but in a good way, are Continental belts. Bet you didn't know they're OE in tens of millions of Chrysler, Dodge, Ford, and GM vehicles that roll off the assembly line. They're also OE on the majority of BMWs and VWs. Now Continental is launching the aftermarket multi-V belt with the OE pedigree. It's their OE technology series. Belts that are fanatically engineered for the perfect fit, form, and function. And Continental has an OE technology series multi-V belt for 90% of vehicles on the road in the U.S. and Canada. Hey, you get enough surprises working on cars and trucks. A belt should not be one of them. Go with the Continental OE Technology Series Multi-V Belt, the belt with the OE pedigree. To get the full story, visit oetechnologyseries.com.
You're listening to Spike's Car Radio.
That was, welcome back. That was Susie behind the counter, Bill's here at the Malibu Kitchen, saying her big complaint was Lamborghini guys don't tip as well as the Porsche guys.
That's very funny.
But she
well,
did
you're
say,
both, Matt.
But she did say...
It's a good point.
I like Lamborghinis, too.
I tip in the middle.
Yep.
But she also said Porsche guys with gold chains don't tip.
Right. So it's,
which I have not heard before. But I went to the Lamborghini...
I would guess the average net worth of a Porsche owner is higher than the average net worth of a Lamborghini
really?
owner, despite
I don't
the
know.
difference in vehicle cost.
I would always think, I would just knee-jerk think it's the opposite, but I can see the Lamborghini guy trying a little harder. That's what you're telling me.
I believe so. Anecdotally, the data may support
that.
I went to the Lamborghini dealership opening last week with my boys, and I would say that's not true. I would say it's the opposite. They were, the family from China that had a lot of money there. There was a lot of money on display, a lot of money in the clothing and the watches.
I guess I maybe cast too wide a net by saying Porsche owner. Maybe I have to narrow that down.
I would say you could say that they dress better. All right, Susie, our friend Susie here, the photographer says gas prices in California suck. So does our current president. Let's stick with the first one. $5.50 at the 76 station in Brentwood last week.
The one on Bundy and San Vicente?
The one on 26th Street.
That's the most expensive neighborhood probably in the United States to buy gas.
Yes, and that 76 station on Wilshire approaching Beverly Hills from.
But the 26
are about the most expensive station.
Here's another strange thing: the 76 station on San Vicente and 26 overnight became a Sinclair gas station with the green dinosaur.
I like that dinosaur.
Yeah, I like the dinosaur too.
And the dinosaur is great. It's a throwback to when they taught us that oil came from dinosaur corpses, which is not true.
And then guess what? The gas prices stayed the fucking same. It's insane. But
can I present an opinion that maybe isn't so popular?
Yeah,
I think our gas prices are too low in this country.
Oh my God, please. What do you mean?
I think that Americans will buy the fuel in general, the fuel hungriest vehicles, the biggest, fattest.
You're right.
That they can afford. And while gas is cheap, that is what they will buy.
Right.
If you actually want people to buy fuel-efficient cars, you have to make it in their financial interest to buy fuel-efficient cars. But
that's not what's happening here. This is refinery shenanigans and a monopoly here in the state of California.
Well, that could be happening as well.
Just follow it. And what you'll see is these seasonal refineries breaking down, and suddenly we can't make the gas, so the prices have to go up. They are ripping us off like strippers in a downtown strip joint. Their hands are in our pocket. It pisses me off. It doesn't need to happen. And it's Democrats who are doing it weirdly here in the state of California. The corporate Democrats. It's a Democratic state right now. But I've been appealing to my good friend Gavin Newsom. Do something about this. You want to be the most popular politician in the world? Start enforcing traffic laws here and get gas prices down, right? If Gavin Newsom came on the show and said, you know what, I'm going to keep people in the right lane, Spike, and I'm going to teach them that that's the passing lane, right?
Yeah.
Isn't that the most popular politician in the world?
Look, I think if we employed Germany's driver training standards, and Germany's vehicle safety standards, which are
very
much higher than ours.
What do they do specifically? Do you know?
Very rigorous training.
I don't want to attempt to throw.
But it's in the. You're saying it's in the driver's education, or
driver's education, licensing standards,
right. And the penalties.
The penalties, the TUV, which is the German Highway Authority, their version of NHTSA.
I agree.
They have a very broad restrictions on what cars can be.
If you guys raise the money, I will be the new governor of California, and I will change all of this. I will run. I will run right now and change this. I will fix your schools, and most importantly, I will fix your drivers. I'm not going to do anything else, but I will do those two things.
It would be possible to have policies like that, but it's not flashy and new like autonomous cars, blah, 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 whatever. Like, we could improve our driving standards. Like, humans can actually be very good at driving.
Yes.
For all our complaints. Like, many humans are very good at driving. Like, in other countries, they train them to be really good
All right,
at
here
driving.
we go. Let's go, because we have so many of these. Woody Heron says, I'm annoyed with all the people at my university that drive base V6 Challengers, Camaros, and Mustangs. Why would you buy those instead of an Accord, which is actually a better car for these people? They want to look cool, but they have the bad engine with their automatics, so there is no substance to back up the style of these cars. Why do they do this?
Why is Woody a 90-year-old? Does he understand being a teenager or a young adult?
I don't know.
There's a lot of reasons to buy the small engine. One is most non-car people can't tell the difference and or don't care. Two, insurance for a big V8, a Hellcat versus the cost all around, the fuel, whatever it is. Okay, let them drive a V6.
Wouldn't you agree that most buyers are buying for the way the car looks, not how it performs?
Like I bought a car because I liked the color once. I mean, I'm not above this kind of dumb stuff.
But I mean, not guys like you, but most people don't even know what an engine is. They're just like, oh, that looks cool. I want to be cool, and they buy the car.
Yeah, I like how the radio control knobs feel in my hand. Like, whatever.
Right.
Yeah.
Flat Six Sicko, our good buddy, is angry that there aren't more episodes of Spike's Car Radio. I agree, Flat Six Sicko. If it were up to me, I'd be putting 7 out a week. I do it every day. I do the Howard Stern morning show, and that's all Spike. I would do.
If I could record every day, I would.
That's what I would do. This would be my job, and I would agree to get up at 4 in the morning and do it. I would do a 3-hour drive time radio entertainment show, and that's it. Then I would do
nothing. You could talk that long?
Why don't you
day?
just do it like
but
this
I would
without
put
it being
together
at
a
4
show.
a.m.?
I'd put together a 3-hour show. Yeah, it's not one guy talking. You do a whole thing.
Now, if you did do it from 4 to 7, and I could actually do that, I just would have
Zuckerman,
no life whatsoever.
Yes, you would fall apart.
Let me tell you something, Spike.
I said, most importantly, I would do nothing else after that. I would do a 3-hour thing, and then I would let my body rest.
If you did,
you would have a heart attack after a week. You'd walk into your office, and your head would explode.
if you did a 5-day-a-week show, you probably would have the numbers that you wouldn't have to do anything else. Or
What do you
many
mean?
other things. Like you could, by having the volume of downloads that you
Right.
would get from a 5-day-a-week show,
Yes.
you could get a lot of money on advertising.
Correct.
And
And you'd make some money.
Not instantly, but like
Right.
Adam Carolla, that could be a full-time gig.
Correct.
He's doing well.
He's
Some
doing great.
say.
I don't know.
Paul Newman's descendants say yes. He's
All
doing
right,
well.
Exactly.
Tim
Yes.
Tim
Very well.
Pappas, yesterday's little lunchmate, our good friend, wants to know who thought up pedestrians have the right of way. Step into the crosswalk right in front of me and walk as slowly as you can. You are rat bastards.
I will say that that's something like in New York, pedestrians have to yield the right of way. So when I moved out here and learned that every intersection, whether marked or unmarked, is a crosswalk where the pedestrian has the right of way, that was a cultural adjustment.
But how about just the right or wrong, the social code of it? Isn't it incumbent upon you? And don't you feel like if you're a decent person, you'll move through the crosswalk fast? You don't walk slowly? And if you're an insecure, power-hungry idiot?
What I object to are when the person is not going to cross, when this person is waiting for the perfect time to cross and the Good Samaritan decides to stop in the middle of nowhere.
That's how people
creating
die.
A dangerous
Right.
situation.
Like the
Yeah.
pedestrian is attempting to stay out of the way.
Yes.
He's hoping the drivers understand he's trying to stay out of the way. And yet
Mrs.
someone creates the
Kravitz
traffic.
decides to stop and be helpful and waving as if she controls all 7
It's always
lanes,
a
not
woman.
just
It's always
her
a woman.
lane.
Zuckerman
I
gets
thought
angry about.
attorney-client privilege prevented you from discussing Mrs. Kravitz on this program.
Mechanical vices. I'm angry. Well, he named himself after his own complaint. I'm angry at myself for being obsessed about cars and watches. Even writing this post is making me angry. Are we wasting our lives? No.
What? No. What do you
No.
mean? I have an entire career based on nothing but cars and watches.
He might
Nothing
be
else.
wasting his life.
I mean, if that's all you do, then do it in a productive manner and make a career out of it.
This
If that's all
is
you want to do.
this is an obsession that doesn't hurt anyone. And if you became obsessed with drugs and alcohol or hookers or gambling,
Crack and
things,
hookers.
these are things.
all
What?
things I had to
Zuckerman?
go through to land
Crack and
on
hookers.
cars.
What?
Cracking hookers. If he was obsessed with
Right.
cracking hookers, like you said.
That is wasting your life. This is productive. We're all in this together.
Yeah, spend your money right. You get it back in both
That's
of those
right.
hobbies. Maybe.
All right.
Maybe.
Skatester
Watches.
says, and this is 4 exclamation points, too much milk in my cappuccino. The ratio is 1/3 espresso, milk, and foam. Get it right, fuckface hipster baristas. Well, why are
Go
you
to a
going
better
back to this?
coffee shop.
Why are you going back to the same place?
Yeah.
Go to Alfred's. Don't you have an Alfred's? Go to Alfred's.
I like Verve. Verve gets it right.
Verve is
excellent,
great.
yes.
Alfred's
is, there an
is great.
actual Verve store location?
Yes,
in
there
LA?
are. Yeah, there's several of them, but at Melrose and Lapeer.
Oh,
But
in
you're
the middle of
Across from
nowhere.
Craig's. Yeah,
you're-
in the middle of nowhere.
I have
one downtown.
You know what? In Venice, we have Minotti's. Shout out to Minotti's.
Yes.
That dude was like barista of the year like 3 years in a row. He does them fucking fleur de lis joints.
Yeah.
Where he puts like the Mona Lisa in your.
Well, okay,
phone.
let me
I could
interject.
never convince them to
Quick,
do weenies. Please put a weenie in that guy's
He will
Let
make
me
it. He'll
let me
make a
ask you a
cock
quick
and ball
question
too,
here.
yeah.
Do either of you care about the little design on top of your foam?
Not
I
really.
care that if it's done right, it means the person who made my coffee cared. It's an indicator. It's the brown M&M's
It's interesting.
theory.
I
It's an
know.
indicator
I
of
got
a
one
bigger
yesterday
give a fuck.
that they didn't give a fuck, and I found myself missing the little tree or the heart, and I was like, "Where's my heart?"
Yo, what's up?
It's part of my thing. And here's the other thing you guys are just reminding me of for bringing this up. Starbucks to me is the new McDonald's.
Yes.
And let me complain
Yeah.
about that.
Yes.
I walk in, there are 8 homeless guys laying there. There's needles on the floor sometimes. It's just, and then a bunch of unemployed idiots using it as their office. You're McDonald's now. And then your bonehead CEO is going to run for president and I have to look at that face, you're done. You should have stuck with the cake pops. You should turn off the Wi-Fi. It's over.
You should have realized cake pops were the pinnacle of their achievement and called the game.
Starbucks.
That was like Rome at the end of the Republic.
Actually,
Starbucks. Hold on. Starbucks is over.
Their coffee's terrible too.
And the coffee's terrible. It's done. That instead of running for President Schultz, go fix your restaurant chain before it goes out of business. Yes,
you know what I like, which was a Starbucks acquisition, not an invention, was the cream cheese stuffed bagel hole. It's like a donut hole, but it's a bagel, and it's injected with cream cheese.
Oh, Jesus. Fixing things that don't need to be fixed.
But even
that's delicious. I mean, if you don't want a whole bagel and cream cheese, you just want the essence of a bagel with cream cheese, you can have like 150-calorie little
Except
bite
who
of
stops
bagel.
at 1? Are you telling me you stopped at 1?
Okay, I had 7.
All right, here we go. Let's keep going here. We got a lot to cover. I'm angry that we keep hearing your pitch for caliper covers when we all know dang well that you would not put that junk on any of your personal cars. They're one of my sponsors. So the listeners of this lovely podcast, occasionally, a couple of them, are stupid enough to not understand the sponsors are what keep the podcast going, that we love our sponsors, that anybody who I'm doing an ad for is someone who's coming on saying, we're going to support Spike's Car Radio and help you keep doing your show for these people. I am getting a pair of personally made caliper covers that say Spike's Car Radio. I don't know what I'm putting them on yet.
That's kind of fun. That's fun.
And you have to look at it through my here's what I don't do. I don't do the vape, people. No offense, Matt Farah. I don't do the alcohol. I don't do the drugs. I don't like any of the drug manufacturers that reach out. I don't do any of the boner pills. I'm not doing any of that stuff. But anybody in the car world is welcome. So
some audience members need to understand that even if they think that product is dumb, there might be someone who wants it, and someone who is making caliper covers.
You know who likes
ethical business, just making things for people.
Well, by the way, the caliper cover guys called up and said you can make fun of us as much as you want.
Yeah,
they get points for that.
They get points for that. Secondly, their market is the Mopar Ford crew. Anybody who's like hot rodding stuff and having fun with their cars. The Concours people love it. You put these covers on, you can write whatever you want. You can write the money on it, and you can have a good time.
I would throw those on my I just bought a new van. Yeah. I would throw those on the van because fuck it. Who cares? It's
all
fun.
Right, here's a really good one. And this one has been driving me nuts. The fucking robocalls, the nonstop junk phone calls, of which I am getting 5 or 6 a day. I fell prey to one yesterday. I called up my credit card company, and they said, we didn't call you. I'm like, God damn it.
Okay,
they're
put
getting
that
good.
On your platform for governor.
Yes. Well, you know who undid all the regulations, obviously. We don't need to get into that. But that's what's going on. That's what's happening here.
Do not call registries bullshit.
Here's what I've done, and here's what I suggest you do. If you get one of these in the car, go for the ride with a guy and take him off the calls for as long as you can get. Just keep cooperating. Give him one less number.
One defiant.
Give him. I do this nonstop. The kids are really entertained. And here's the best part.
Are you speaking to a human or a robot?
It's always a person. They say, if you want your finance to go down on your Diners Club card, of which I don't own one, stay on the line. You press 3, and this is what you hear. Hello, can I help you? And you hear India somewhere, and what do they call those hot boxes? Those boiler rooms of people, Indian people ripping off old people. So I feel like if I can take one of those guys out of the game for maybe 45 minutes, that maybe
45 minutes
saved a couple of old people. I said in the car. You're in traffic, right? So wait. This is where it always gets to. You'll eventually get to a moment where he knows that you're fucking with him, and then he'll pause, and you'll say, well, what, you say, what card do you have? And I'll go, it's for my Dunkin' Donuts black card. And it'll be quiet for a second, then he'll go, okay, fuck you, buddy, fuck you, fuck you. And then they'll start screaming at you.
Really?
And then I go, fuck you, I'm calling the FBI. And the guy goes, okay, I'm going to sit here right now while you call the FBI. I sit here. Oh, yeah,
Why
you're still sitting there?
recording this? This is awesome. I didn't know this got to this point.
It is so much fun. It always gets to the guy swearing.
Dude, you should have a whole album of making these people lose their shit.
One of the guys, he goes, I'll beat you like Conor McGregor got beaten. And I'm like, dude. dude, I'm Irish. He goes, well, Conor McGregor is the worst fighter. And then we had this really fun conversation of who's the other guy, Constant Klimnik? I don't know.
And now you guys are homies?
And now we're homies.
Now you're
And
going to Delhi to hang out
Tell
with
him you want to come over to his place of work and hang out.
And then I
Tell me
said,
the
look,
address.
look, now that we're relating to the ultimate fighting, why are you doing evil in the world? Why don't you go find something good to do in there? And then he went, fuck you! And then he hung the phone.
Why don't you tell him that you will give him $100 US, which you will do, to do an hour of radio with you about this industry. It'll be the most downloaded show you've ever had in your life.
That will be great.
You think that $100 is that guy's mortgage for 3 months?
Wait, no, hold on. I've been wanting to talk about this one, too. Here's another one. The National Policemen's Association, which you get a call.
Does not exist.
I like the... This is the best, though.
There are a couple of grease balls on that Staten
No,
Island.
Zuckerman, if you've gotten this call, it goes like this. The guy, they're actors. They go, hello, this is the National... He tries to sound like a cop. He goes, I'm calling about the National Policemen's Benevolent Association to get a donation to help police officers. And I'll go, you're not a fucking cop, you piece of shit. Like immediately you go, well, sir, it sounds like you don't want to. Go, stop pretending. Stop with your voice. Try to be a police officer. That guy, well, I'm just going to hang up, sir. That guy I've not gotten a crack yet. That's a more professional room of con artists who really, really have put everything. It's like the method, the acting method. They've really become cops so much so that they can't break. So try to get those guys to break. But no, they're not real. I even had one guy I said, well, what a coincidence. I'm a police officer, too, the Los Angeles Police Department. Would you like to make a donation to my cause?
That's
well, why can't I send you? No, why can't I send you mine? He said, well, sir, sounds like you're messing with me, and then he gets off. But this is what you do to these people.
I've said some really disgusting things to the Indian scammers before. Like, I don't have kids, so I'll tell them that, like, I try to charge all this kiddie porn on my credit card, but it's not going through. And, like, just like, you know,
You'll have the
underage hookers.
They'll come and shoot you in the head.
All right. Spike says the podcast would just be regulars, but then proceeded to have comedian guests. Oh, my God. We just want Z and Jerry. Oh, wouldn't that be nice? This is the audience never understanding that we have an entertainment show that happens to be about cars versus a car show that's just about cars every week.
You had a guest a couple weeks ago I was super jealous of. Who were your last
David
couple
Cross?
Oh, I loved him.
Right.
And who was the other one? A couple weeks back. You had a great guest. Kevin Nealon.
Kevin Nealon,
Yeah.
John Lovitz.
Yeah, these are people I'm like super... can you call me next time if
These
people are in town?
well, I mean, and then people get upset sometimes that Zuckerman's not, or I don't have a co-host. Look, if you want a cacophony of voices when you're interviewing a celebrity, go watch The View. If you want The View, go watch The View. I'm not going to do that. When Lester Holt, when Larry, when David Letterman, when Larry King, when everybody's doing an important interview, they do it one-on-one. For a reason. There's a reason why you do that. So you can do an interview without interruptions, and that's the way it works in the world. And then we have these shows like this where we have the main crew on, and we talk, and we have a good time. That's just how it works. But just know that, and I'm going to stop responding to all of you who write this. This is an entertainment show that has to be about cars. It's always going to be about promotion, people coming up. When I get offered A-list guests, they don't frequently want to talk about cars. They want to promote their shit. That's how it works. That's how it works, people. And I have publicists to deal with, and then I have also potentially artists and people who, you know, big surprise, they don't know who Zuckerman is. And they might not, you know, they're not as easygoing as the rest of the people, and they don't want strangers asking them questions. Do you get it? There's a whole thing going on here. So just trust that I know how to make my show the way I want to make it. All right? Goodbye. What else do we have here? The dismal state of SUVs, crossovers taking over. Who else hates them with a passion? The sheep consumers ruin the car world. It's more about that than the validity of the vehicles being good or bad.
A smart man.
I agree in principle, but I will offer a defense of the crossover, even though what I said earlier about fuel costs I think still applies. If you look at what it's like to sit in a sedan or a quote car today with the pedestrian safety features and the all the safety features you need. The belt lines are higher, the shoulder lines are higher, the windows are smaller, and so I would argue that if you want to be able to see around the car, as much as you were able to see out of a car from like 15 years ago, a crossover offers that greenhouse that you used to have and is now gone in a passenger car.
That happens to be my argument against things like the Mustang, the Camaro, the depth that you're sitting in, or even take the DB11, which I feel I was nauseous.
Very cockpitty.
I was nauseous just sitting parked in it because it's like looking out a mailbox slit.
Yeah.
You got a point.
You know, but you have your side curtain airbags, you have your rollover protections, you have your impact standards, your pedestrian standards. So like a lot of these regulations drive that. Because you still want to have an aggressive, greenhouse, right? So I'm reading this book called H Point that is about the regulations and how they drive the design of cars. And there's only so much you can do about that if you want to be within these regulations and still have a car that looks correct. Not to be too overly defensive, but the fact that many crossovers are nearly as fuel efficient, handle as well by most people's standards, not our sense of sports car taste, but for the average person, the crossover handles well enough, and you can see more. I think that's a lot of what
do you
drives
think?
it.
Okay, would you consider like these coupes, like a 6 Series? What do they call them? GTs or coupes?
Like the 4-door coupes?
Yeah, like they're not an SUV. They're not a crossover.
They're those weird raccoony things like that. Yeah.
You mean the SUV coupes?
Yes.
Oh, the GLE coupe.
Yes. And Porsche's got the new one.
I don't really get it. I think they're the worst versions of the normal ones.
Right.
But people love them. The kids like them, and the musicians in Hollywood are driving them.
I don't know. When I see those things on the road, I just wonder, what were you thinking going into the dealership or online? Why did that?
They couldn't make up their mind. Well, here, let me tell you something.
The same reason we thought minivans weren't cool, so we switched to SUVs.
Zuckerman,
now they think SUVs aren't cool, and this is like not quite an SUV.
So Erica was gone for 9 days, so I really leaned into that BMW 5 Series, and I found myself going, I don't understand why sedans are needed anymore. I was driving it going, as a guy, I just don't relate to this car in any way. I can do everything I want to do in it, but it's not a sports car, and it's not a truck. And this middle zone seems irrelevant to me anymore. Like, I guess if I were on Wall Street and I put on a suit and I wanted something bigger, I think for guys like us, these sedans are irrelevant.
They
and
also
I think
are starting to look the same, right?
Right,
and
and I
the
think
aerodynamic standards.
Yeah, and I think that's why everybody's gravitating towards. Well, I don't want an SUV, but is there something in the middle there? And that's what this new little zone is.
I want you to spend maybe a week or a few days in my E28
You just
M5.
stereoed me with your legs.
Yes.
Now I'm looking into your crotch.
Yeah, look at my big balls. Drive my 88 M5 for a while.
That's different. That's vintage.
Yes.
That's a different deal. I'm talking about new.
And that's where
Those are great.
In about 2000, they lost the plot line on sedans.
But I can groove on that because it's a vintage car, and I can go, this is,
I remember someone, I think it was a couple of years ago on Jalopnik, someone took like the 5 best-selling sedans in America and blurred out the front nose clip and the tail lights, and they were, basically completely interchangeable.
Let's keep moving through here. Manny Alban says, social media influencers piss me off. Not all of them. I'm guessing he probably doesn't know any. But the ones that think we're naive enough to believe the product they're pushing. Sell your wares, but don't try and disguise it as something you always wear or just discovered. So he's saying, as you're... Not to single out anyone in particular, but switching from Porsche to Mercedes as much an outlaw as Roy Rogers was. I don't know who he's talking about.
Is he trying to make fun of Magnus for going on the Mille Miglia in a 300 SL Gullwing? If so, that is the wackest argument in the history of arguments.
I don't know how you see Magnus
Guy who
and
likes
Walker
Porsche should turn down offer from Mercedes. Also, guy who likes Porsche can't like 300 SL Gullwings. Zuckerman, how do you feel about that statement?
Exactly.
Yeah, it's include the car world. At least what we try to sell on this show is if you like cars, it's like Luftgekühlt. If you like air-cooled, we accept you for whatever you like. If you have a Prius, we like you. We don't like your car, but we like you. If you're enthusiastic about cars, you're welcome. And let's just stick with the social media influencers part of that, which is if there's a paid promotion, it needs to say that.
Of course.
And
I run ads, and then I do content. And the content isn't dictated by the ad.
All right? Let's skip past it. There's not that much stuff here.
But Magnus is allowed to go on the Mille Miglia, for the record.
He can do whatever he wants. He's
of course he is. gives a shit? He's having fun.
Much Sponsors Wild says, I'm angry about all the 0-mile RS Porsches being sold. There are 42 GT2 RSs total listed on DuPont right now. When will this stop? Why aren't people driving them?
5 years. And when the 918, when that program, the VIP program, is over, it's a 10-year program.
Phlegm. You just phlegmed.
I did have phlegm.
All right. You're my phlegm brother. You're my phlegm brother. I like it.
Look at it.
No, I like that you're joining me in my old man phlegmdom.
Yeah. So because the VIPs that bought 918 buyers were not necessarily Porsche buyers. They were high-end exotic car buyers, hypercar buyers, but they are allowed to get every new GT car at sticker price. And so they get them. They're not going to drive them. They sell them.
But you hear
this strategy has worked for the last 5 years. These people have been pretty well rewarded for what they've been doing.
Yeah,
and
Porsche
up
doesn't
to this
like
point.
it.
No.
Yeah, but the
Works for
people
them.
are still flipping and making the cash.
Yes.
Let me make a point. He's looking at it like this. Hey, like all of us, we couldn't get these cars. They weren't given to us, like currently the Speedster. And now here's 42 of them. Here's 40. Hold on. Here's 42 of them that somebody bought and didn't drive. Why couldn't I have gotten that allocation? Right, and that's a good point.
And he's going to get gouged if he can afford it.
Right.
He's
Why
gonna
aren't
get
the
gouged.
enthusiasts getting the car as opposed to the flippers?
Well, we do know
Porsche
Porsche's
really
made more.
need to do that program to get people into 918s.
At the time, they thought. At the time, they didn't look like they were going to sell, and they got scared, and they offered the program, and it's come back to bite them on the ass.
All right, here we go. Let's keep moving through this. Then we're going to take a break in a second. We'll keep going. This is going to be a nice long podcast. One of your complaints that I'm going to indulge has been this podcast is too short. I'm going to keep going today for as long as I can get these go.
Right?
45 minutes to 50 is my little zone. That's usually all we have time for.
Look, it's not enough for everybody. Ever.
Matt Farah, S. Myers, 528. The lack of a Singer one take. What's going on?
I have asked repeatedly to drive Singer vehicles. I like the people at Singer very much. I have a great relationship with them. Every car they build is pre-sold to a customer. And anytime somebody drives one for the media, they have to get explicit permission from that customer for that car. And so I
Not
like
to
the people at
mention
Singer.
a long rider about the things you can and cannot say.
I have not personally experienced the rider, but
I
I've heard
have.
about the rider. And so if a Singer comes my way, if an owner lets me have a go, I'm 100% in. But
there's a phrase
it's not
phrase you have to hit that's like a 911 made by
you can't call it a Singer 911, but as long as they have to tell you that,
right.
But you ultimately do whatever you want. But
Well,
that's not a bad
why don't we
thing.
help you get a car?
We
We
should.
should.
Weird that you haven't gotten one.
Yeah,
You have
why-
to have
that's
press
easy.
cars.
They don't need me to. They don't have press cars. They don't need me to sell their cars.
But that's not the point. Your fans want you to drive one. We all want you to drive one. Let's get
Look,
you
if
one.
I really put the effort into making it happen, I could probably find a way to make it happen. I would have to get on a plane.
No, we're
going to
do it right now. We're going to make it happen
you
here.
Someone's
said
got
that-
a Singer.
if
I'd
you-
like to have a go.
If you drove a Singer and you told me the car rocked, I would actually then be interested in thinking about it because I would trust you. I don't
Thank
trust
you.
any of the people that have bought them. I
Thanks.
don't know any of those guys. I don't know what they know about driving and having a good time behind the wheel of a car. What a real car is supposed to feel like.
Yeah, Chris Harris knows a lot about driving, and he loves it, but also he owns a portion of that company. Lee Keene also knows a lot about driving, and he loves it too. But I would love to have a go. If someone out there's got one and wants to let me have a go, if it's a reasonable distance from L.A., I would love to have a go, and it would be great.
Here's something
But it's not worth bugging them every week, you know.
This is nice and granular. We were talking about it yesterday, Zuckerman. W. Kirsch 250, 991.2 GT3 brake squeal.
Yes,
Squealy
a pox
brakes.
on your house.
The pox on the house of Porsche.
Yes, they all squeal. It doesn't matter. The ceramics are great. They're great brakes, but they squeak. And you would think their response is these are racing brakes.
Yeah.
They're going to squeak. But you would think they could figure out a way so that they didn't squeak and you could enjoy your windows
Has
down.
nobody in the aftermarket come up with a squeakless pad for this yet?
Well, that's an interesting question. I know there was a time when you could take when there was a time when the red caliper turbo brakes on the GT cars were really squeaking, and you could replace them with regular turbo pads, not notice any difference since you're not a racer, and not get the squeaks.
Interesting.
But same size, right?
Yeah.
But I haven't heard a solution. You know, what did Eric Patino at Beverly Hills Porsche tell us? Oh, spray Simple Green on your rotors. Like, I'm really going to go.
I don't. He didn't say that. He said, yeah, people try these things. Nothing works.
I mean, in general, my personal experience is if it's clean, it squeaks less.
You want to
the
know?
dustier it is, the more it's.
You want to hear something a little odd? I think it's moisture in the air, and I think it's salt in the air, because yesterday the GT2 RS, I'm driving it all around Brentwood. I come out here with you, it's salt air, squeaks like crazy all the way home. Drive a little more, it stops. So I'm just thinking salty air might have something to do with that, or speed.
I don't think that's enough time to get salty, but maybe moisture. I don't think 10
really?
minutes at the beach.
Have you ever? Take a look at what your windshield looks like on the drive home. You have
That's
ocean
true.
spray on it.
That is
and that
true.
same ocean spray is the stuff I'm talking about every time I come here.
Okay.
You know, and I'm just saying there's a correlation in there somewhere. I don't know that specifically is it. Anyway, let's take a break.
They also could get hotter driving on PCH.
True.
Hotter or cooler.
Right. That could be it
could
too.
be a temperature thing.
But I'm just going by what I have to clean off my windshields, which is salty spray. I put my finger like that and
I
take
don't
a little
get that
taste.
much of that, actually.
Yeah. There you go. All right, we'll be back with more Spike's Car Radio Complaints Edition right after this. Let me tell you something. Did you know most people have no idea whether or not the motor oil they're using is good enough to protect their engine? Everybody's driving around not even caring about what's going on under the hood. Only one brand literally goes the extra mile to test everything, including ensuring they're the right motor oil for your car, and I'm talking about Valvoline. That's right, Valvoline is the only motor oil brand in the world with an engine lab completely dedicated to testing motor oil. Valvoline takes their products and their competitors, I might add, and runs them through the gauntlet. I'm talking thousands of miles. Then the engineers and technicians take those engines apart to evaluate exactly what happened. Please don't try this at home. Trust that Valvoline has done it for you. Was there carbon buildup? How did the seals hold up? Did the engine perform like it was supposed to? And most importantly, were the critical engine components protected? You don't know, but Valvoline does. So when Valvoline is formulating motor oil for your engine, they know exactly how it performs and what protects it best, because they've seen the results firsthand. It's why I trust Valvoline in my car, and it's why Valvoline has been trusted for more than 150 years. Head over to Valvoline.com/Spike to see what product is right for your engine. That's Valvoline.com/Spike.
You're listening to Spike's Car Radio.
Welcome back. It took a minute to walk outside. It's rainy. It's weird. It doesn't rain much in May,
really?
right?
May, gray, June, gloom. I mean, not rain, but the fact that it's overcast and cool here at the beach is normal.
It is?
Yes.
Well,
May,
we had rain.
Gray,
We had
June,
rain.
gloom.
I'm excited
no,
for this
I know
rain
June
today.
gloom.
I got to rinse the undercarriage of my Porsche, which I took off-roading, and it was very dirty.
You did have very nice dirt for Luft
awesome.
6, and then somebody drew a weenie on your...
you?
No, it wasn't me, but no.
Someone drew a dick on my car.
All right, JRD...
It's okay. It's ceramic. It's wrapped. I don't
JRDKLZ. You got to sign your names to these guys. It'll be easier. I'm super mad about the size of new 911s. Can't argue with the design and proportions, but when you walk up on one, it's like, what the fuck is this thing? Makes my 997 seem so small. I took a picture of a GT3 RS and the Lamborghini Countach, the Matt Farah Lamborghini, and that's one of the most common comments. That was, look at the size difference between these two cars. Look, and it's you're right. These 911s are gigantic,
They're huge. Yeah.
And my son, look here. Let me just
Blobs.
ask you this, Matt Farah, because you know all things automotive. My son asked me last night, why are Lamborghinis so wide? The new ones,
A couple of
the
reasons.
new cars.
A couple of reasons. One is the rear tires, and the width is for handling and to fit very wide tires under fenders, right? They also have to widen the car to get the engine lower into the car, because the engine going further down pushes things outward.
So weight balance.
But the biggest one, actually, is that the big side pods, the radiators, Those are radiators in the side. And so the wider those openings get, the more airflow goes into the radiators. And
Farrah knows his
the
shit.
more,
Look at that. Isn't that impressive?
the engine in my Lamborghini, which is an 88, is that same basic engine architecture is still in the Aventador today.
Wow.
In my car, it made 440 horsepower. In the Aventador, it makes over 700. So think about how much more cooling needs to go into that.
Right.
Plus, you need to be able to drive an Aventador in Dubai, Habibi. In Dubai, it's very hot. You have to drive Aventador all day in 120 degrees
He does
Fahrenheit.
the Russian too. He's like me.
Was that Russian?
Russian.
Yeah.
Was that Armenian?
That
what
was
was
Trying
that?
to do Dubai, but it didn't go well. But so that's
I liked
why.
it.
So
it was all right.
the
know how to
width
say
is for
pussy in
tires, it's
Russian?
for handling, and it's also for
What?
cooling.
You know how to say pussy in Russian?
So I had one of the
Pussy.
I had one of the listeners say, I listen to Spike's Car Radio on Wednesdays with my kids on the way to school, Zuckerman.
So
I can't.
Okay.
I
So
can't
these
be responsible
these
for when
comments
you
that
listen.
you make, these
they're not-
obscene
they can't-
comments.
Really?
Think about. I want you to just think for a moment before you say the Russian word for pussy. I want you to just think about those little kids on their way to school and what that
PSA,
parent
don't
is going to have
torture your
to.
kids with this radio show. Your kids are bored out of their mind at best
Yes.
and going to be traumatized.
They
at
love it.
worst.
I
They
will
love
never
it.
say
Dads and
pussy
kids love this
again.
show because they learn about Russian words and language. Let's see. No, that's not a good complaint. People with no lights on in the rain. Crazier than a turn on the PCH, says Sean Maynor. My wife's driving. Ha, ha, ha. That makes me mad. Yes, it's terrible. I am pissed that there are no more car matchmakers. Me too, but NBC will not give me that format back. They're holding it hostage, so I'm going to have to do something else. And by the way, this is that something else. I'm doing that. I have a real job, all right? Stop bothering me about that show. I miss it too. Still, by the way, airing in Algeria, according to my DMs.
Really?
Yes, around the world.
Awesome.
It's still...
Old episodes of Drive, the NBC sports show, I'm on air on the BBC in South Africa.
Oh, that's cool.
And in the Middle East.
Isn't that
It's
fun?
really sick.
And you get these really cool, messages, DMs from fans
people are
going,
like,
"Hey,
I just caught your Middle East special."
Yeah.
I shot that in 2015.
it's super
That's
fun."
awesome, yeah.
I've got fans in Egypt. I've got a really big fan base in Brazil, where they were running
Really?
it 5 nights a week.
In Brazil.
In Brazil, and someone I told that said, do they invite you down there all the time? I said, yeah, that's the number one thing they say. That's what everyone in Brazil says.
Come
Did
to
you know this
Brazil.
about the Brazilians? They say, come to Brazil. Come to Brazil,
For
Zuckerman.
carnival, you have sex with man, woman, everything. Oh, sorry, kids.
The kids, they're going.
Kids. Oh, those
They're
poor
starting
kids.
second grade, Zuckerman. That's funny. No love for the bass Carrera. Please read with whiny,
I love the
humble
bass
brag
Carrera. I
tone. I don't know.
Shout out, I drove a $97,000, this was 2017, base Carrera, 3-liter, twin-turbo, manual, 7-speed. It was amazing. 90% of the things I love about top-tier 911s exist in that base Carrera. I have love for it.
Phil99362 says, the television show Bosch on Amazon Prime. Best show ever, IMO. What is IMO?
In my opinion.
In my opinion, but the latest season is unwatchable. Thanks for letting me complain. Those guys were offered to Spike's Car Radio. I didn't know what Bosch was. I thought it was, a component
I
of
have
a
a problem
car.
with their
and they said, no,
electrical regulators.
and I said, Bosch has a TV show? What? And then I said, I can't relate. I should have had them on. I guess season 2 is unwatchable. A lot of people right now, by the way, complaining about Game of Thrones. There's a petition now that 1 million people have signed to change the ending of Game of Thrones.
Shut up. Go away.
Here's what I say to you.
That invested.
You will always be fans for thinking that way, and that's your problem. There's one writer, there's one visionary, and either you're on board or you're not. You're free to make your opinions, but there's not ever going to be an algorithm that makes a specific show for you so that you're happy. Because you know why? And this goes back to Spike Car Radio as well. The fans will inevitably drive you off a cliff if you let them drive.
Yeah.
You'll drive off into cancellation. They don't know what they're doing. All right? None of you know what you're doing. You're welcome to your opinions, but if I let you drive, I'm going off a cliff.
Who
It's an old
remembers
rule of
the-
entertainment.
The ending of The Sopranos, remember that?
Of course, and the ending of Seinfeld.
The ending of
Every-
Seinfeld.
That? Now look.
Yeah.
The ending of Seinfeld is different. I happen to agree with the fans on that one. It was not the best way that show could have ended. I was never happy with the idea that show didn't take place in New York and it went off to Massachusetts. But again, when we were talking about the end of Seinfeld, Jerry brought up, you know, how should we end the series? And I suggested, along with other writers, I don't think that we should. I think you and Larry should. That Larry wasn't on the show at that point, and that we should invite Larry back. So the two guys who really are the heart and soul of Seinfeld, put together the finale, and that's the way it went.
I didn't obviously know any of you guys then. I was like a kid. It was 96, 98.
Yeah, 98.
So I was in high school.
I mark it by Porsches, 98 C2S, dark blue.
There you go.
Dr. Vitakind. I had a letter. Go ahead.
I remember it being a fun episode. I don't remember it being I remember it being like, okay, yeah, they brought
people
back
were really
to make fun
upset.
of them.
But they get upset the same reason they're getting upset for Game of Thrones, because Jerry and George and Elaine didn't have a big emotional moment in 9 years where there was no learning and no loving and no hugging. And they thought, well, in the final episode, we're going to do it. No. Of course we're not going to do it. But on top of it, there was this added, we didn't get to be in New York one last time, and it wasn't one moment. It was
just the Chinese restaurant thing again. If they just spent the whole time just waiting for a table again or something.
I don't know. I probably would have been okay with one moment of emotion in it because people are very passionate about it. But look, it's over. It's 30 years old, baby. Get over it. That wasn't really your complaint.
No, Game of Thrones is 3 days old, but still, get over
it's
that.
More
too.
about the fans. I'm mad at BMW. I can't talk about this, but maybe you guys can. I'm mad that BMW dropped the manual transmission from their next Gen 3 series.
Yeah.
If I wanted a new all-wheel drive sedan with a manual, is the WRX the only option left?
Oh, Jesus. Can I think of all... You might be able to get a Hyundai Genesis 4-cylinder manual in all-wheel drive. Might. Don't hold me to that. You can almost certainly get an all-wheel drive Mazda with a stick. Mazda's committed to making sticks. I mean, your options are limited. If you didn't buy a brand new manual transmission car in the last 5 years, this is partially your fault. Like, people who complain about manuals being dead and then only buy used cars or don't, like, you're part of the problem. You didn't buy them when you could have. The dealers intentionally make them annoying to buy because they're harder to sell, so they don't stock them, so you have to order one, which is annoying. But if you want one and go through the trouble, that would have contributed to the saving of the manuals. But, like, also, 7-speed manuals are not as good as 6-speed manuals. We'd eventually end up with 8 and 9-speed manuals. Like, that's not good. You're then driving the manual into the ditch, pretty much.
Because of fuel consumption regulations?
Yeah, I mean, yeah. If you want to save the internal combustion engine, it's clear at this point that a stopgap to that is more gears, right? We're seeing 9 and 10 now.
Right.
Things.
I don't like the little arrow that tells me, come on, shift up, dude.
My 87's got that joint.
But that one's so antiquated with like a little LED light.
It's pretty much always just on.
Yes.
Yeah, right? That little arrow is annoying, right, Zuckerman?
Arrow, I hate it.
I'm enjoying third gear. I don't want to go up to fourth. I did it. It was in the GT2 yesterday. It was in third gear, enjoying it. It was like, get up to 6. I'm like, I don't want to.
The thing
it's
about
quiet.
The 87, you could actually cut the wire. You can't do that.
I could never do that. I could never
modern
do that.
Cars.
Yeah.
There was another BMW guy that complained about how confusing BMW nomenclature and the expansion of the product line is.
Yeah, the naming schemes are really bad. Oh, I have an X3 S-Drive 2.0T all-wheel. I mean, I know it's just a series of catchphrases and alphanumerics. It's kind of annoying.
Here's a good one, and I've noticed this too, and I get really upset about it. Gas station television.
Oh, God, I hate that
with
shit.
Shira Lazar, who I happened to have had dinner with one night with Tom Green. And Shira, I love you.
Tom Green and Shira Lazar?
And my personal trainer.
It was very weird.
And we had so much fun, and we went in a really tiny car to a really hip dance club. It was a long time. Anyway, if I'm paying $5.50 for a gallon of gas, I don't want ads bothering me. I feel like I'm paying for some peace and quiet.
Don't they have
this is a really good complaint.
Usually a mute button.
There's no in a cab in New York City, there's a mute button. Again, this is a service I'm paying for. Like, the reason I pay for HBO is I don't want the ads. If I'm going to pay $5.50 for gas.
I can't imagine those ads sell anything.
Right. What are they doing?
Who the fuck's paying attention to that shit?
It's from a time before we had phones to look at while our thing filled up.
This is the plague of advertising that plagues this country, right? This is okay. This is the
gas,
fourth thing on my I'm running for governor platform. I'm getting rid of advertising in the state of California. It's going to be like Costa Rica. It's going to be like Hawaii.
Get rid of billboards? No,
I'm going to get rid of all of it. Yeah. I'm done. I'm tired of the come-hithering of advertising when I'm pumping my gas. That's a really good complaint. Drop
you
top, Dan.
A funny little thing about pumping gas real quick. So the original Lamborghini Countaches in the 70s, all the way through, I think, 83 or 84, had dual fuel fillers, one on each side. In 85 and up, they switched to a single fuel filler, which is what I have. They still have dual fuel tanks. So there's a flow between, a little hose or something that sloshes it in between. The slosh between is smaller than the average flow rate of the pump.
Shit.
So I kept thinking my fuel gauge was broken because I would fill it up and then a couple minutes later it would just go down and I'd be like, well, what the fuck's going on? Well, it turns out the filler gauge is only in one of the tanks. So you fill it up, it fills up one tank, and then you got to wait like 15 minutes while it goes into the other tank
That
and
is
fill it up
vintage
again.
Italian, a combination of genius and retardation, all in the same package.
It turns out my fuel gauge is not
it's
broken.
aesthetically pleasing retardation.
It turns out my gauge
we know
is
can
not
make
broken.
it beautiful, but it's going to
actually
work
is
in a weird way.
6-step process to fill this car with fuel.
Dry Beer is tired of ecobabble, where it's patently apparent that fully electric stuff is worse for the environment than our petrol cars. So he believes in Martian space stories. You're getting your information. You know what you do? Just direct message Ed Begley Jr. and he'll set you straight. That is patently false, my friend.
I've been talking to a lot
But
of...
he writes this. Well, wait, hold on. He goes,
Chemtrails.
with the exception of city air quality, it's more ecologically sound to continue to drive the car you have. With the exception of the air we breathe, let's just set
Let's get our
aside
Stanley steamers and coal
clean
out.
air and dirty air that causes cancer. Well, we'll just set that aside. You're full of shit, dude. That's
I
not
talked
true.
to a couple environmental scientists about this. I've had some really interactive.
Yes, go ahead.
And basically, what they told me, because I was questioning this. Like,
I did too to Ed Begley. I asked him the question directly.
Is it better to drive your old car longer or go to electric, etc.? I think it basically has a lot to do with how your state generates their power. If you live in a clean power state like California, driving an electric car on that clean grid is cleaner than making a coal plant in Pennsylvania burn more coal for you to have electricity for your car. So it's highly variable on whether it's actually better.
But
for the air to switch.
It's a right-wing influence operation to stop the progression of the electric vehicle. Period. End of story. If we
have a climate scientist outside.
If we do make
is that what he does?
Yeah.
To do
If
with
we-
your old car?
Yeah.
Can we ask him?
guys, can you stop interrupting for just one second? No,
Let's
I'm not interested in
make
having
jokes
him
and
on.
not actually
We're running
have
out of
someone
time.
who knows anything.
It's not about climate science. It's about an investment in electric cars, an investment in clean technology as opposed to fossil fuels, which, yes, may not be perfect, but as long as you're moving in the right direction and not saying we're done. Do you see what I mean? You'll eventually figure out that problem.
Well, yeah, but okay, hang on.
Because
I don't think
when I
think
asked
it's
the question-
obvious that buying a new car, electric is better than gas. However, if the question is continue driving an older car and maintain it well and keep it on the road versus the carbon footprint of constructing a new car for you and then driving it. That I think is the real.
Well, that
question.
wasn't the question.
Okay.
The question is.
Goodbye, Farah.
Never mind.
The question is the universal one, and it's that talking point here, which I've asked the question myself. Aren't these cars? Don't they come pre-polluted? Right. So I did a little bit of a deep dive on that idea, and guess what? I turned up. Not surprisingly. You know, all of this stuff that kind of enters the conversation has a tiny element of truth, but then it ends up on Drudge and it's thrown out there to keep oil prices high and keep the oil business. It's the same old story, you know. I like cars that burn oil because I like cars that burn oil. I don't necessarily like electric cars. I feel like they have no souls, but I'm not going to further this lie about them. and it's a lie.
Farah, do you think there's an electric car that has a soul?
No.
Okay.
What about the 918? Kind of.
No.
The Ferrari,
the 918
kind of.
I don't like because I think it's way too Starship Enterprise-y for me. I prefer the Carrera GT.
Yes, I think we all do. Lot of slow in the left lane. Okay, here's a good one. This is a really good one. And I totally agree with you, 944 fan. I am tired of shopping and having places that need my phone number and want me to sign up for the club, the CVS club, the Juice club. Everywhere I go, do you want to join our club? Do you want to have a subscription? I don't want your emails. I don't want your shopper program. I just want to buy my crap.
Use that antiquated thing called cash. Just hand over some cabbage.
But you know what he's saying, Zuckerman, right?
Yes,
you go
it's
in
so invasive.
You go in to buy some chapstick, and they go, "Are you a club member?" And I go, "No," and they say, "Why not?" Because I don't want to belong to your stupid drugstore club. I want nothing to do with it. I want to buy this chapstick. I don't even want to talk to you. All you're doing is tracking me and my purchases. And what am I going to do? Carry those little cards around, 50 of them? Go. What do you have? This doesn't upset you?
No, I just don't give them my phone number. I just say no. And that's the end of the conversation.
Don't you even, but again, like, why are you even asking
I know why
me?
they want to know, but it's up to me not to give it to them. I can solve that problem with a simple no. I have no problem saying no to a cashier's face.
I'll tell you, 944 guy and me are very upset about this. When people manually keep their automatic rear spoiler in the up position all the time, well, you don't do that, Zuckerman. If they wanted that look, they should have gotten a fixed spoiler. C7Z driver is upset. You know what he's talking about.
Yes,
like on a GT3, we can make the spoiler go up. And he's upset that people have it in the up position all the time. That's
pretty lame. It is.
Yeah.
C7Z, if he's assuming a Corvette, has a fixed spoiler. He's talking about himself there. But
do you get excited?
I was looking at that blue 911 under poo tree to see. I think it was raised when it was parked there. I think it's kind of douchey to leave it up.
Is it like popping the collar on a Polo in the summertime?
It's more like clumsy fingers. I think half the time it's a clumsy finger thing. They hit the wrong button.
And they just don't know?
Yeah, because on Porsches, the wing up is right next to the sport exhaust button.
Right.
They don't know. It's the same guy who leaves his blinker on. Or once I went with my brother-in-law, he had his windshield wipers on a dry day for 20 minutes, and I finally had to scream, "You're driving me fucking crazy. You got to turn that shit off."
Some Andrew Martin, New York City, thinks Jerry needs a watch intervention. I don't know about that. I think he's
got a watch buying kick.
Yeah, and he's got some very desirable, beautiful watches, including the Daytona, the Vic Elford Daytona. He's got a Sifford Octavia.
Into that, he doesn't. He's not. Is he on a buying
No, he's
spree?
just
He's
new.
out of control.
He's just new.
Oh.
He's where I was in the '90s with Porsches, and he was doing that to me. He's kind of my little protege watch-wise. I kind of encourage him. He still buys a lot of Breitlings.
Oh, it's okay. You could like a Breitlings.
Yeah, you can.
He doesn't need to make money on anything he ever does ever again.
No.
He can buy any watch he wants just because he likes it.
And he's got some exciting watches in his new seasons of Comedian in Cars Getting Coffee.
I just watched the second episode of Seinfeld ever while I was on the elliptical the other day. The Architect, the Art Vandelay Architect episode.
Oh, yeah.
And Jerry's wearing a Santos in it, which I
Cartier?
think is a Cartier Santos, which I was like, that is not him.
Now,
at
he used
all.
to be in those watches. Yeah, he liked the fancy
weird
dress
as hell.
watches.
It looks weird as hell, yeah.
But I remember liking
Nice watch,
fancy dress watches when I first started liking watches, being
That
from
was the thing in the
Massachusetts.
80s.
It was like a gentlemanly thing. I thought this
I'm
is
a man.
what gentlemen wore,
It
right?
was like a small, diameter kind of.
Look how thin it
kind
is.
of Santos. Yeah.
That's weird.
Yeah, it didn't look right on him. I was like, whoa, this is odd.
That's really strange.
I wonder if he's still got it. You ask him if he's still got the Santos next time you talk to him. I'm interested.
I don't think he does.
No?
No.
Seems like the kind of thing you'd give your wife to wear.
How about just one more Spike's Car Radio per week? All right. I'll do it. Talk to Norm Pattis over at Podcast One.
I went to
and by the way, tell him
it's hard. It's a lot
tell
of
him
work.
to share the sponsorship money with me, not just take all of it and write me a check with excuses in the memo line. and then not returning messages. Okay, I don't know if this is about you, Matt. Were you advertising a car on Facebook Marketplace?
No.
No, okay. Well, this one says Mr. Ben Zachariah is complaining about fuck knuckles posting cars up for sale on Facebook Marketplace, then not returning my messages.
Let me buy Matt fuck knuckles.
I don't know how to use Facebook Marketplace. I'm sorry.
It might be John Shope and Dirty Bird Customs and the new show we were doing with him, where the cars, I'm sorry, sold very quickly, so that might be why he's not returning it. Yeah, but he's a sweet guy. We love John Shope. We love Dirty Bird Customs, and his show is doing great. Flipping Dirty Bird.
In fairness, I have heard okay things about Facebook Marketplace as a place to buy and sell cars. I've heard okay things.
It's a beginning. They're not where they should be. It's not a preferred place to go hunt and look for stuff. Yeah. It is not pleasing and satisfying yet. Mr. Zuckerman.
What is interesting, there's a bandwagon. It seems everybody wants to start their own car auction.
Have you seen P-Car Market?
Yes.
That's the new one. They advertise with me.
Someone told me Chris Harris was about to do it in England.
Chris, I think, just started a podcast, but his
with an
co-host is a broker that he works with over there.
Right.
Well, he has a deal over there with some guy who's like a secondhand broker, and he basically does 6 month, buy and returns with him, and goes through cars a lot like that. And I think he's starting a podcast with that guy. But that's kind of Chris's thing.
But if Chris had a Bring a Trailer site, that would be huge. I'd go there. I think everybody's just trying to rip off Bring a Trailer at this point, right?
I think people underestimate what it took to get Bring a Trailer to what it is now. Randy and his team are very smart, and they are doing things very slowly and methodically.
How many years have they been on it? 10?
10.
Yes.
You see their new white glove shit?
Yes.
They're doing the Pebble Beach angles. The bring on your gull wings.
I do not think that you can just one day announce that you're going to do an auction website and think you're going to be a success.
Because you've got that first round of cars and nobody's going to be bidding, right?
In fairness, I think I know one of the dudes behind P-Car Market. He's a nice guy. He means well. He knows Porsche very well. He is.
I do
an
like
expert.
those guys.
And do you know any of them?
The CC people on Long Island,
East Coast
CCS.
Guys.
Yeah.
And they've sold a few cars, and they have at least, I don't know.
It's just too small.
On Instagram.
It's
a good resource.
I do.
But what Randy...
I bitched to them about not putting the sale prices when the auction ends. I complained about it, and now they do.
And I will say, now, I wasn't specifically thinking about them because I was just hearing other guys talking about it. I have bought cars from them, too, in fact. So with CCS. Yeah, they're good guys.
You guys want to keep going? How are you feeling?
I got a few minutes.
You got a few minutes? You
I'm
all right,
hungry,
Zuckerman?
But okay. Complain
we'll just
about
do a couple more.
Where's my eggs, Bill? Look at his
face. Someone here, and hold on, here it is. I want to read this exactly as they wrote it because I thought it was nicely written. Hold on. Fuck knuckles. There we go. Okay. Gorge Flyer says, nuts in trucks. I'm fed up to my nuts with it, and I daily a truck. I get the fact that you're sexually frustrated. Take up golf. So I think what he's talking about are the trailer hitch testicles, right?
Yeah.
It is. They're gross.
Okay, testicles are gross, but I like when there's like a little stuffed animal or some other thing that's getting filthy.
Like on a noose.
Yeah.
Well, how about there's a podcast called The Dollop, which I love, and it's a history podcast, and they tell crazy stories from American history that are really well researched. They're very funny, and there's one about the truck nuts war.
Really?
There was a war between multiple companies producing and selling truck nuts. It is an incredible story.
That's
What's this
cool.
thing called?
The Dollop is the name of the podcast.
And now, did one nut manufacturer prevail over the others?
Yes.
Really?
There is a Kleenex of truck nuts.
And was there a copyright or a patent?
There were patents.
I would like to see those drawings.
Yeah, the descriptions of the draw. It's hilarious.
Old man testicles or a young man's testicles?
I gotta
wonder
I'm
what.
glad one's a bull or a cow.
I thought it was a dog's nuts.
I thought it was squirrel testicles. Well, look,
Squirrels.
obviously it's a
Squirrels
diverse
have
word.
a great
Nuts.
junk to body
Yes.
ratio.
Aren't you glad we live in a state where we don't have to complain about seeing too many truck nuts on the road? What state do you think what state is that guy in?
Right.
I'm going to go with the northern part of Florida.
Yeah. Okay.
Here's another candy complaint from Choosy. Choosy. It really upsets me that the size of the individual bars in a king-size Twix bar are noticeably smaller than those of a regular Twix bar. You think you're getting 2 times the chocolatey caramel cookie goodness, but you're not. Not even close. This is corporate
snacking
bamboozlery.
industry.
Listen, Zuckerman, corporate bamboozlery
Yes.
at its finest. Someone
Listen, a
stop
foot
the
long,
madness and hold them
It doesn't
accountable.
literally mean it's a foot long. We have come up with this term to describe a 10.5-inch sandwich. We just call it a foot long, and
Like
that's
the
our
quarter
trademark
pounder
term.
is not a quarter
But look,
pounder.
we've got first-hand experience. These candy manufacturers are motherfuckers. They do not respond to their customer service. They give no fucks.
We've been making this candy bar the same way since
I
1847.
appeal to
People buy it. We
I-
can't make enough of this shit.
I appeal to you. There's got to be somebody who knows somebody at the peanut M&M factory. We want that whistleblower. We will pay the whistleblower to find out what's going on. We want the inside word. All right.
We're doing a study. I'm gonna buy a box of peanut M&Ms in every country I go to from now on.
Yeah,
We're
right.
At the bottom of this shit.
Look, we will after this. We'll show you the pictures of the mutants. The ones he's got on display in his office it really gets crazy fast.
Where are the best ones? Japan?
I'm told Japan,
Australia and England. Yeah.
Japan and Japan.
No, just not by best. They're just uniform. They're not like the dented head of some mosquito virus-born child from a
You
third world
horrible
matrix.
We
You
get
know-
the anti-vax M&Ms.
Okay, here's one. Insurance issues with a recent Turo rental. I got totally hosed, and well, after renting a ton of cool cars over the past few years, I'm 110% donezo with ever renting from Turo again, which kind of sucks because I like the cars, huh? Have you heard of any insurance issues with Turo? Big fan of their site.
I'm a big fan of in theory, the ability to drive cool cars. I don't. He doesn't describe whatever this incident is. I don't know if he rented the car out or he was the customer or whatever. I've heard of issues in the past, but again, you're talking about a lot of rentals and people who get very mad, and get very loud about it. I'm sure the dude's issue is totally valid, but like, I don't know. It's like, you want to rent out your own personal shit, and you want to be a guy who rents someone's personal shit instead of dealing with a corporation with like contracts and stuff like that. Like, okay.
There you go. All right, last but not least, air-cooled list. Having to wait 2 to 4 weeks for my Spike's Car Radio T-shirt to ship to Australia. That's not really a complaint, but it's a good moment to bring up that you probably have only 1 day left. I think there's only 1 day left to go to blipshift.com/Spike to buy the first 100-episode commemorative Spike's Car Radio T-shirt. It is a Blaupunk radio from the 70s. It says Spike on the push buttons. Where it says Blaupunk, it's got a little blue dot, and it says Zuckerman. Just to have a shirt that says Zuckerman on it. In little tiny print as people lean in and read in and go, Zuckerman, what's that? And you get to go, it's this, you motherfucker. You can use the voice. You can say the money. You got to get one of these shirts. We love Blip Shift. Matt uses Blip Shift. He's got a shirt up there right now.
Until I think Monday.
I just love their stuff.
Yeah.
Go there. Their shirts are only $20. Buy one. It's a nice way of kind of getting a cool shirt and also representing this podcast, which we know you love, and we love you. We love all of you.
We do.
We do.
And the reason
We
it
love our
takes a little
fans. They're
longer to
great.
get them is so we can make the prices affordable, because we only print the number we sell. So there's no excess, and therefore the fat has been pre-trimmed.
Can
my
I be
friends.
honest with you? I get hit up all the time about merch, and I was just lazy. And when Blip Shift called, or Johnny Lieberman came on, and he was doing a shirt, they said, we're going to do the whole work.
Yeah.
We'll work out the design with you, which I did with the design team at Blip Shift in about 20 minutes. It was remarkable how
It's
quickly
not-
they came up with an idea.
Calling
and
it
we got
lazy is to do yourself a disservice. I once operated my own merch.
Right.
I ordered stuff. I
Right,
had a
right.
closet full
And
of
you
boxes
end
of
up-
different-
right.
I ended up sitting on 300 T-shirts that
Yes.
were sizes I couldn't sell. It was
Yeah,
I had
you're
shipping
right,
stuff
right.
out. I'm the customer service guy. Forget it. Let them
Everybody
handle it.
makes a little
Matt
money
Farah
here.
in fulfillment.
Oh, it was a disaster.
And my
The
commitment
worst.
to you folks is I want to give you a cool shirt that that's not so overblown and over the top. Spike's Car Radio, just something nice that kind of represents the Porsche thing. So there you go. Yeah. Order one, and if it's not for sale right now, we'll be making more. Anyway, that's it, guys. Thank you so much for coming out here to Malibu. We've had a nice morning. We've eaten some food. Anything to plug?
Yes.
Before we go,
Collector Car Storage.
That's right.
If you're in Los Angeles, if you have sports cars and need somewhere to keep them, if you plan on buying more sports cars or whatever, if you have jet skis on a little trailer, if you have small boats on a little trailer that is the size of a car, Westside Collector Car Storage.
When is it going to be finished?
September 2019, you're opening. We have 145 indoor, secure,
exciting,
filtered air parking spaces
filtered
in Playa Vista, California.
Gefilter.
2 miles from LAX, right next to all the tech companies.
That's exciting, Matt.
Yes, my website's going to be done pretty soon, but for right now, it's Westside Collector Car Storage, written out all at gmail.com.
Right, so that means stop direct messaging me about where can I store my cars.
Call him.
Do people direct message you about where to store cars?
Constantly.
Please send them to me. I'm happy.
But most of these people need it right now.
Yeah,
and that's the car storage business.
Yeah.
But
we'll be open in September. We're taking deposits right now. If you buy a year before we open, I'll give you a month free. That's the deal. I've got singles, I've got doubles, and I've got quads.
Ooh, so there you go.
Look it up. Westside Collector Car Storage at gmail.com.
What do you do for the air to keep it optimum?
Massive air filtration units.
Is there humidity control and all sorts of things like?
We don't need humidity control, really.
Right.
We're in.
What is the optimum car storage temperature? I guess is the question I'm asking.
Well, in the warehouse portion of it, part of it is underground. That's self-regulating. That always stays about 65, always, because it's under like 18 inches of solid concrete. The main level is heated for the winter, but is not air-conditioned, but it is well ventilated.
Right.
And then the offices, the lounge, the reception area are obviously air-conditioned.
Right. So it's a place to hang.
It shouldn't ever get over like 78 in the warehouse ever.
Wow.
So it should never get below 60.
So
it should be fine.
I'm coming there on a Saturday. I can park my car. I can sit, have a coffee. I can roll some emails. Right. I can hang, and then I can drive, and I can store.
Totally.
That's
yes.
it. Okay.
We don't
got
have
it.
the
I love
room
it.
to have big cars and coffee events like Eli. It has an
those.
auto. We don't have the surface level parking actually because we're on major streets. But if you keep your cars there, then yes, there's a place.
One of the nice little pleasures of my week is when I go to Zuckerman's hangar, and his guys keep all of these like ginger beers and and I sit there and I can have a cup of coffee, have a little bite, and then drop a car. You know what I mean? It's a nice little 20 minutes.
We're going to have the humidors, so you keep your cigars.
Oh, really?
We're having the whiskey lockers like you'd find at
do you have
the Capitol Grill or
do you
the
have
Palm.
a room that draws the smoke out of the cigar?
Yeah, we have the extractors.
You do?
Yeah.
I didn't know cigars were part of this.
Cigar extractor.
Do you smoke cigars?
No, but you do.
I know.
This is why.
This is for you, Ferriston.
And then in that
Cigars
lounge,
and filter fish.
you overlook the warehouse. You're 30
I'm
feet
there.
in the air, and you overlook the warehouse.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
So you can smoke indoors.
Yeah, it's not in where the cars are. It's divided by glass. But
I love it.
You can have a cigar indoors.
How loud are the extractors? Are they not like jet engines? They're just
no. It's the same one Joe Rogan has in his studio, which he runs while recording his podcast,
so he can smoke weed.
So others can smoke cigarettes usually.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's dedication to cancer. Yeah. Look at that.
It's dedication to making your guests comfortable.
I like it.
Whatever.
Zuckerman, what do you got to say before we go?
Man, if you've been in an accident, call Carpenter, Zuckerman, and Rowley. We'll take care of it. One call does it all.
That's why he has so many cars, because he wins in the courtroom. That's just his piece. Imagine what yours would be.
Can we do a GoFundMe for fucking this table?
And that's right. Here's our final complaint. Bill,
get a table shift.
Fix the tables in this joint here at the Malibu Kitchen.
Can I buy you a new table? This is ridiculous. This table stinks. Oh, this is what's fixed? Okay.
Yeah, these things.
Well, we're ending the show with a complaint. All right. We dropped that in, Susie. We dropped it in. You're covered. We gave you credit. Thank you, everybody, for listening. I hope you enjoy this extra long complaint issue. We will see you next week on Spike's Car Radio.
Goodbye.
Quick before we go, 60 seconds. That's exactly how long this commercial lasts. You know what else you can do in about a minute? Get an offer with your car from TrueCar. That's right. In the amount of time it takes to floss your teeth, pet your dog, do a few sit-ups, just listen to my voice, you can get a true cash offer. Best of all, you can do it from your smartphone or at home. Just go to TrueCar and simply enter your license plate number and watch how your car's details pop up. Answer a few questions and you'll get an accurate true cash offer from local TrueCar certified dealer. It's that easy. After that, you can bring your car in and they'll check it out with you together, the two of you. You can even hug if you want. You can ask questions, get the answers you need, so there's no surprises, and simply leave your check or trade in your car for a new ride. So when you're ready to experience a new, better way to sell or trade in your car, check out TrueCar today.
Thanks for listening to Spike's Car Radio. Download new episodes every Wednesday on the Podcast One app or subscribe now at Apple Podcasts or PodcastOne.com. Coming soon to Podcast One, the Gigi Podcast with Rick Fox, Jace Hall, and Todd Roy. Log on to see the world behind the esports you love and find out what good game really means from the trio who's taken the business by storm, including the 3-time NBA champion behind Team Echo Fox. Download new episodes of the Gigi Podcast every week on Apple Podcasts and Podcast One.
When Cynthia came to TurboTax, she had just launched her new side gig, a true crime podcast.
I'm a first-rate detective with a golden voice.
As her TurboTax expert, I made her second income count by guaranteeing 100% accurate filing and her maximum refund.
What did she do with that refund? Find out next week.
Switch to Intuit TurboTax and make your moves count. See guarantee details at turbotax.com/guarantees. Experts only available with TurboTax Live.
Ever tried reading while jogging, cooking, or even juggling flaming torches? Yeah, it doesn't end well. But with audiobooks.com, you can conquer books without the circus act. Dive into over 450,000 titles, including more than 10,000 free ones. Get hooked on a bestseller, find your next obsession, or finally read that classic you've been avoiding since high school. And here's the inside scoop. Sign up today for a free 30-day trial and snag your first 3 audiobooks on the house. Sign up for your free trial at audiobooks.com/podcastfree today. That's audiobooks.com/podcastfree.